From deep in the heart of Central Texas, it's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fishing Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas outdoor nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Von Warnke, back with another podcast. So excited to have you guys back on board this show, man. Without you guys, the listeners, we'd have no podcast, and there'd be no reason for me to turn on this microphone and talk into it every 2 weeks. And I just really appreciate it. Without you guys listening to this show, there'd be no show. So thank you guys so much for doing so. If you've not done so already, please subscribe to the podcast. It is free. You get it every 2 weeks right now. And basically, it is kind of complimentary of your host here, Dustin Von Warnke, and the guests that I have on the show, and Texas Fishing Game Magazine. And it's just more content that we're putting out there in the audio-only format, which is becoming ever so more popular as the time goes on, especially with the technology that we have today. And I'm just really excited to have the chance to sit down with you and talk about hunting, fishing, outdoor lifestyle, camping, hiking, all that stuff that goes along with it. Man, I dig this stuff. So I just love this format to be able to share things with you. If you've not done so already, please subscribe to the podcast. It is free. And if you are listening on Facebook, if you're listening on YouTube or anything like that, you can subscribe obviously through YouTube, but through Facebook and places like that, go to your mobile phone. Find the podcasting app that your phone has, Android or iPhone or Google Pixel or whatever you've got, and just hit the old subscribe button on whatever podcast app you find this on. You can find them on anything from Spotify to iHeartRadio to Podbean to there's just the Stitcher for Android. There's just a whole bunch of different podcasting platforms. Obviously iTunes, all those on there. You can get this podcast and just hit subscribe. You'll get a new episode that's downloaded every 2 weeks to your phone, like this one was. And just love to have you guys on board for future shows. And you can go back and listen to previous shows, by the way. If you want to find out what a show is about, just search the title, and most likely the title will have a little bit of everything that's going to be in the show. So I try to keep my titles very to the point and relevant to whatever topic that we're covering, and I really think you will find some good information here. I've had some great guests on the show. I've got some great guests planned. And today's show, I've got Chester Moore back again. And Chester, I know I have him on the show a lot. Probably my most frequent guest out of everybody, but he is our editor-in-chief at Texas Fishing Game Magazine, our monthly magazine that comes out every month. And you get the digital version every month at fishgame.com, as well as our blog content, this podcast, and so much other stuff. And then our newsletters, and Chester will talk about that in the show. But him and I got together earlier this week that I'm recording this, which is the week before it comes out, and talked about turkey. We did a turkey talk. And I really think you're going to like the kind of things. This may be one of our best shows together that we've ever done. I'm just being quite honest. Both him and I said that after we got off the phone with each other, earlier this week. And, to me, it's just about bringing you quality content, things that you can take to the bank when it comes to information, when it's stuff that you can use out in the field, things that you can arm yourself knowledge-wise when you're talking to other people about hunting and fishing and the outdoor stuff. I'm just a big fan of all this stuff. I love it all, and I just enjoy sharing it with you guys through this medium and format. And I'm going to podcast every day I can podcast, so I just don't give up easily. So anyway, this audience is growing slowly, but it's growing. I'm so excited again to have you guys on board, and just please tell a friend, hit the subscribe button, smash the notification button on YouTube if you're on there. Or anything like that, and you can check out our other content at fishgame.com and Digital World, or our magazine in your local stores via newsstand, or you can order you a copy at fishgame.com and get a copy delivered right to your mailbox anywhere in the United States. And thank you guys as well that listen outside of the United States, and those of you guys especially that live outside of Texas. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in as well. So recently, this past weekend, March 31st was the day that I took my son, Jackson, who's 9 years old. I've had him on the podcast before. Took him hog dog hunting. We won a trip through Hill Country Bow Hunter Silent Auction. And Hill Country Bowhunters is a 3D bow club, 3D archery club in Liberty Hill, Texas, Seward Junction, the junction between 183 and 29, Highway 29, just right up the road from where I live. Talked about them a couple of podcasts ago, but because we were doing the fun shoot as an event and I was promoting the event. But really, really fun silent auction. We have it once a year. We typically have it in September, but I'm an officer there this year, and we had to make it to March because the September event got rained out. So, it was really a lot of fun, a lot of work, but really a fun day. And they had a hog dog hunt by this company this outfitter called Adrenaline Junkie Outfitters, and I love the name. That's really cool. And basically, I just decided to take Jackson on a hog dog hunt with nothing but a group of dogs, no guns allowed, no bows allowed, no crossbows allowed. Just dispatch it with the old-fashioned knife and Bowie knife, and basically, just get out there and get it done. And it's kind of a more primitive style of hunting than a lot of guys are used to. It's kind of more hardcore and raw. But the experience my son had, which I've videoed, and I've got the video up on YouTube right now. You just search for Dustin Jackson hog dog hunt, and really, I just can't say enough about my kid, man. He really was a trooper. He got out there, and we chased down a nice 250 or about 225 pound boar with about 2.5-inch cutters on both sides, and that sucker was huge, and he was not happy. And Jackson got him. Really, really fun hunt. Really excited about the fact taking a hog that big home, which we know how to make wild boar into a wide variety of different things. But if you use a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of white vinegar, soak it a couple of days, the boar smell is not that bad. And I eat wild boar all the time, the big ones. They don't scare me at all when it comes to the taste and everything like that, because if you know how to prepare them right, it's usually not an issue. But since this is a hunting episode, I just wanted to bring that up, that I just can't say enough about Adrenaline Junkie Outfitters out of Taylor, Texas. Frame Switch, I think, is where Jason's from, and Jason's just been a great part of the Hill Country Bowhunters silent auction thing, and I just really appreciate him giving us an opportunity to auction off one of his hunts, which I won. So it was really a lot of fun. He had a friend of his, Eric, that helped guide the hunt, and they both had their pig rigs and four-wheelers and trailers, custom trailers with dogs and everything like that, just dog kennels and stuff in it. It's really, really cool. So anyway, look those guys up on Facebook. They have a Facebook page, Adrenaline Junkies Outfitters, and if you're interested in something fun in Central Texas as far as a hog dog experience, they specialize in youth and women, and that's kind of cool that they have a specialty in the folks that aren't really the strongest or the hardest core hog hunters out there when it comes to hogs and dogs, but I thought that was kind of cool to mention. So Jackson did great. I've got the video up on YouTube, like I said, and then he's getting a certificate from Chester Moore's new BOARS program, BOARS scoring program. He will be the first entry in the open division of the open division of the hog scoring. And this boar was, I believe, 2 5/8 inch on one side and 2 1/2 or 2 4/8 on the other side as far as inches of that tusk, his bottom tusk. And man, that is just, I can't believe we got a trophy hog. I'm so excited about that. So this is a lot of fun. All right, before we get too far in the show, let's go to sponsors. And this week we have AccuSharp that is back up sponsoring the podcast again. Thank you, AccuSharp. You guys are awesome. AccuSharp eliminates the guesswork of using stones. I know a lot of you guys grew up using stones. Your dad or grandfather, my dad and grandfather both used stones on both sides of the family. Just 3 or 4 strokes with your AccuSharp and you're ready to go. It takes the guesswork out of not having to use stones to sharpen and get the right edge and get the right angle or honing steel or anything like that. This is just a simple no-brainer way to go. Buy one now at your local hardware store, order online, or buy one at Academy Sports and Outdoors. They carry a full line of AccuSharp products. And really, even Ted Nugent raves about the AccuSharp. He says, I run my AccuSharp blade sharpener over my small outdoor edge fillet knife, and all I can say is stand back. It is easy to use, easy to buy, and so inexpensive that you can have nothing to lose. Test it for yourself, sharpening your knife all the way from your kitchen, garage, and kayak, all your knives. Same results every time. Buy one at your local nearest hardware store or order online or buy at Academy Sports and Outdoors, like I said earlier. The neat thing about these is that they're so durable. I've got one that I've had for, I want to say, 14 years, 15 years now, and I'm probably going to replace the carbide sharpening edges in it, and basically just keep it going, man. I love my AccuSharp. I've got a blue and white one that my dad gave me originally years and years ago. I've talked about on the podcast. And then, I've got several other AccuSharp products I've had over the years. I love knife sharpeners. I always keep my knife sharp every time I work around. And I tell you what, something that can really, really dull a knife is a big old hog. And I definitely was using my AccuSharp this past weekend cleaning that big old boar. So anyway, good stuff. AccuSharp.com. That's ACCUSHARP.com /buy-now, or just AccuSharp.com, and you can click on the outdoor products or the buy now tab, and you can find out where to buy your own sharpener. All right. Thank you, AccuSharp, for sponsoring this podcast. We love you guys. All right. So, this next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about turkey hunting and gun hunting and bow hunting. If you're looking for a real challenge in the woods as far as it goes, try turkey hunting with a bow or a crossbow because they're a spooky bird. When it comes to, they're very wary opponent when it comes to hunting them in the woods. I would not recommend hunting with the bow for your first turkey if you're just starting out turkey hunting. I've been at it for years. Not killed a ton of turkeys, but I definitely use a shotgun if I can't use a bow, and it's just kind of your preference. But basically, there's a lot of different load manufacturers out there that make shotgun loads for turkey. There's a lot of great gun manufacturers that make 3.5-inch magnums. Do you need a 3.5-inch magnum to kill a turkey? No. But there's a lot of different concepts and thoughts and everything behind turkey hunting. There's a huge following, and Chester will talk about that in his part of the show because, man, it's just a crazy thing. But typically, run and gun hunting, spot and stalk, spot and call, or not, stalk and call is what I'm going to say, and just really having fun in the outdoors and in the woods. It is really hunting on foot. It is really hunting on the run and on the go. And turns out, as I said on one of the last podcasts, that turkey loads work pretty well on rattlesnakes, because we will probably run across a rattlesnake or two as the spring moves on and it gets warmer and they start moving around a little bit more. It was pretty cold this past weekend, and I was out hog hunting with my son, but with dogs. But basically, just be careful out there. And there's a lot of different, things you got to watch out for. One of the things that I watch out for as well in the deep woods is mosquitoes, and I use a thermocell since turkeys can't smell that well. And even with deer, I've shot one of the biggest deer in my life with a thermocell going on 20 yards away from them. And basically, thermocell, I'm not doing a commercial or anything for them, but basically thermocell makes the insect repellent pads that you put on a little warmer that's propane powered or butane powered. I forget what it is. I think it's propane. Or no, it's butane. It's a little butane cartridge, I believe. Anyway, really fancy. A lot of guys have never even heard of a thermocell, but they're a godsend when it comes to saving your bacon in the turkey woods or the deer woods in the early fall or whenever it's warm and those mosquitoes get to biting, and it's just miserable hunting stationary in a stand with mosquitoes buzzing around you and gnats buzzing around you, and there's nothing you can do about it except for wear some camo netting or whatever and keep yourself protected from them. But I hate mosquito bites, and so that's why I always use a thermocell when I'm running the gun for turkey. So and basically the one thing I wanted to give you as a tech tip before we get into Chester's part is really being safe when it comes to handling guns and being around your kids and your family and your dads or your father-in-laws or whoever you're hunting with, your grandparents, whatever the case may be, being safe with guns and stuff like that, but also thinking like a turkey. And what I mean like that is making sure there's no cover that's out of your way. Not even that. Basically saying that when you're turkey hunting, you want to think the level of a turkey, and I don't mean level wise as far as smarts, but level wise as far as they're down on the ground, and we're up 6 feet tall. If you're 6 feet tall or shorter or taller than that, we don't think like they do. We don't see things the way that they do. So what I do is even get on the ground and look around when I'm doing a setup or any kind of decoy, spread or anything like that with turkeys, and see what they're going to see at their level, at their height level, which is right off the ground. And basically, if there's any obstructions where they can't come into the decoys, if there are any obstructions where what I was getting to at a minute ago, where you can't shoot, that's another consideration to make, to set up your turkey decoys and set up your turkey, your turkey ambush points, where it is easy for turkeys to get to and easy for you to shoot from, as far as not having anything in your way when you're trying to make your shot with a shotgun. So just some food for thought there, and just a couple of turkey tips from your buddy Dustin here. And really appreciate you guys tuning into this show. Here's my interview with Chester Moore. I think you're really going to enjoy what we have to say. Here we go. Joining me on the phone, Mr. Chester Moore, the wildlife journalist. So excited to have you back on the show as always.
One of the things that's really exciting to me this time of year, especially as editor-in-chief of Texas Fish and Game Magazine, is the fact that it is wild turkey season. It is turkey season here in Texas and in much of the United States of America.
Yes.
And although I haven't done a lot of turkey hunting, it has always been something I like to write about and that I like to do when there was that opportunity. So
right.
One thing I've learned is for sure is that turkey hunters are hardcore and dedicated. And I think the things that you and I are going to talk about on this podcast, I know you're going to drag some good stuff out of me as a skillful interviewer that you are, is going to be really unique for turkey hunters to hear.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was thinking about this morning before we started recording. I was thinking maybe the duck hunters are as passionate, if not more passionate, but it's hard to find a group of people that love it as much as turkey hunters do.
Yeah, for sure. Duck hunters, I'm a duck hunter myself. Wrote my book, Texas Waterfowl, shameless plug, fishgame.com. Definitely passionate. I come from more of that background, although I didn't duck hunt until I was like 19.
Right.
I did it for many years. But what I think the difference with the turkey guys is there is still that contingent of duck hunters that are very limits driven.
Yes.
And I've met more turkey hunters who just want to try their best to get that gobbler, and that's the experience. So that may be the difference, but they're both really passionate.
Well, I don't want to say the word adversary, but it's a worthy opponent, because a turkey's got like a 4-power binocular built into his head, as far as eyes go. He can see all the way around him in a lot of cases if he turns his head and stuff, and has a wide range of view. I've heard some people say if turkeys could smell, we'd really be in trouble, because they are really, just amazing creatures.
Yeah, they're stunning, and I have a project that I began this year. This is a long-term project. It's called Turkey Revolution. It's a personal Chester Moore crusade to raise awareness to turkey conservation and hunting. I'm so thankful that Texas Fish and Game has the Turkey National e-newsletter where he starts a 3-part newsletter this year, probably going more next year, to help spread the word on turkey conservation. But what I'm doing with the Revolution is starting off this year trying to get like full frame, award-winning quality turkey photos of the Grand Slam, which is the Eastern, the Rio Grande, the Merriam's, and the Osceola, all in 2019.
Oh, goodness.
And let me tell you something. It has been a project already. I'm doing this on my own time, on my own coin. There's no help from anyone. And so I have to go when I have free time, which doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But
I know the
just
feeling.
to give you this, the only ones I've tried so far are Eastern here in East Texas, which is like a needle in a haystack, by the way, and Rio Grande. And let me start with the Eastern. I've already made 3 trips, spent 3 days, a total of about, by the time I hit the field, probably about 22 hours.
Yep.
And I spent about $150 in gas, and I've seen 0 birds.
That's the way it goes sometimes, right?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, there are guys who are out here hunting Easterns in East Texas, and we'll talk more about that story. But what a challenge. That is you mentioned worthy adversary, and I'm like, my Lord. So I thought, what I need to do is shift gears at first here, because I'll have the opportunity a little bit later to travel into some states where there are more Easterns. Matter of fact, I've got a line on some birds in Louisiana, which isn't a great turkey state, but there's a line on some birds someone's been monitoring over there. So I shifted my attention to Rio Grande. and a ranger from Palmetto State Park, which is in Luling.
Yeah, I've been there before. Yeah.
Kind of on the fringe of the current best Rio Grande range. It's not known as a turkey area, but he said, hey, I saw 30 birds crossing the state park road into a field
That's
a couple
cool.
of weeks ago. We see birds fairly frequently. So I was on a trip to go to Buckner, Camp Buckner for Buckner Children's Village, doing some ministry work with my animals, me and my buddy Cole. And I met him out there, and we hit the back roads that lead into the park where there's a lot of creek bottoms and stuff. And I saw one turkey at about 175 yards. It stood there for about 1 second, and boom, it was gone.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, driving between Luling and Marble Falls in the afternoon, there ought to be opportunities to find turkeys out in the fields.
Yeah.
Dude, we hit areas, we cruised back roads, we did not see a bird. And I would say 2 of the counties we were in were some top 5 counties for turkeys in Texas as well. So that shows you how crazy. So last week, went out to my buddy Razor Dobbs Alive, his ranch outside of Kerrville, and he had just seen turkeys a couple of days earlier strutting on the main road of his ranch, and sees them pretty dang frequently. Kerr County is a good turkey county, and we cruised all evening looking his place. He even corned up roads, and there's pastures, and there's a lot of open land in certain areas. Didn't even see a sign of a bird. So I'm like, oh man, this is absolutely crazy. And so the next day, I'm going to see my friend Debbie Hagebush out at YO headquarters to do some photography of some animals.
Debbie's great. I love her. She's wonderful.
She's great, man, including her new baby giraffe.
Yes.
Which was mind blowing. But I said, can we cruise the roads, look for turkeys on the way in? She said, absolutely. So I thought, well, because I've seen turkeys in the YO a lot,
Yeah.
Well, Highway 41 down the road there, there's some back roads and those kind of things, we kind of hit some area early before we had to go in. And my buddy tells me, he says, I never see turkeys right around this area when I go into my son's lease in Rock Springs. And I said, I've seen a lot of turkey in the 41 corridor. And about 3 seconds later, I said, stop the truck. And there's 3 hens on a hill right to our right.
Mm-hmm.
So I get him to back up. I shoot out the truck, jump behind some cedar bushes, and start shooting photos. And then on the other side of this little road, and there are 2 gobblers so sprung on those hens, they can't figure out how to fly over the fence like these hens obviously just did. They're pacing back and forth. So I shoot photos. I'm like, I can't do a photo with the fence in the way.
Right.
So I run about 75 yards down and kind of crawl down the fence line behind some cedar bushes. And they're right on top of me. When they get over, they're right on top of me. And I'm like, I can't even get a picture. I have a 100 to 400 millimeter Canon lens.
Wow.
But when I finally get in photo range and position, I had to stick my camera around the bush.
The stuff we do.
When these birds are attempting to, they're so jacked up they can't even figure out to cross the road. Okay, yeah. They're still pacing at this point. And I shoot a bunch of pictures that way, and I look and I got them, and they finally got across, and they're good after the hens. I jumped back over and shot one photo of him poking his head over the bushes and looking at me like, oh, there was a person there.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the Rio Grande pursuit, I drove 12 hours. If you factor in, back and forth, 24 hours.
Right.
Spent $250-something on hotel rooms. And a lot of time in the field. And I finally got, which is by far the best turkey photo I ever shot in my life. But this is the most common bird in Texas, by far, 500,000 Rio Grande. So just to show you that these birds are wary, wary birds, and they're an amazing game animal.
It's funny you said that. I was on a hog dog hunt with my son this past weekend. On Sunday morning, we're out in the field getting ready to chase some hogs, and we see a turkey fly overhead. I don't see that every day. I mean, big old bird. Just flying overhead, and I'm like, maybe one of the dogs, scared him out of the bushes or whatever, but out of the roost. But it was so cool, just such a magnificent bird, and such a, I don't want to say, elusive, I guess is the best way to say it, because they are so wary of people and animals and things that they can. They're just an amazing creature. It just goes back to what I was saying earlier about being a worthy adversary, because they, as far as to hunt, I mean, it's hard to beat.
No question, man. That's really interesting because the only time I've never seen turkeys free flying for no reason,
Yeah.
like that I didn't know of.
Right.
I've seen them fly out of a roost into a roost before,
Hmm.
like, off the ground, maybe 50 yards into a roost. I've seen that. Um,
This one
I've
was
seen
booking
turkeys.
it, dude. I mean, he was
Was it a
hauling.
gobbler?
It was a
Was it a
gobbler
gobbler?
too. Yeah,
You should have
absolutely.
pulled. Should have shot that sucker.
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't have my shotgun with me. I was
Talk
like,
about
that
a
would be
rare
cool.
opportunity to shoot a turkey in the air, right?
You don't hear that every day, right?
No, man, that would have been the truth. You'd have had to get him in full body flying for
Right,
sure.
right, exactly. Full by flying mount, exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
That's nuts, man.
yeah, that's crazy. But so as far as turkey hunting tactics, obviously, we're talking full camouflage. We're talking, run and gun. For the most part, as far as, and that's what I was going to talk about if I did the show by myself, is just how to hunt them on the move and how to kind of shot gobble when you start out, how to do a locator call, and then how to call them in. What are your turkey tactics, Chester?
Well, man, I am not like an expert call guy, but I'm pretty good with a slate call.
Yeah.
You know, and
I use a
I can
box call, but yeah, I know what
yeah,
you're saying.
or a box call. I can do both. You know what I mean? And I can actually do a pretty good hen yelp with my mouth
Right.
and an okay gobble,
Mhm.
uh, depending on if my throat's clear that morning,
Right, 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 right.
and
Yeah.
the Texas pollen isn't kicking my butt
Yeah, here
like
too.
right now.
Right
But
next door to an oak tree, man. I know what you're feeling.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah.
insanity, man. It's like yellow over here. It looks like
It's,
sulfur
my
from the
wife
rim
calls
of
it yellow
hell.
death, So
Yeah, it's nuts, man. But
anyway,
that's part of the experience group and fighting on those elements. And
right.
the biggest bird I killed was a 26-pound Rio with a 10-inch beard down in Brackettville.
Wow.
It was incredible. It was my buddy Lou Murillo, who is the hunting editor for Texas Fish Game. As a matter of fact, I'm working on booking my flight today to go to New York to hunt eastern birds with him.
Sweet.
So really excited about doing that deal. There's a lot of easterns up there. That'll be my second bird of the Grand Slam on with the shotgun.
Hmm.
Killed a bird with a bow before down on the King Ranch in about 1995 or six, and they're a cool bird. But see, the kind of what I've done, like a duck call, I hunt with guys who are incredible callers, and I've noticed that a lot of times calling in pressured areas has limited success.
Yes.
I'm all about location, 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 and setup.
Hmm.
So what I like to do is I like to really scout an area and find where the birds have been out there strutting, where there's a lot of bird activity. If I don't see gobblers, that's fine this time of year. If I find hens, good, because the gobblers going to be where the hens are. Kind of
Yes.
like a buck in the rut. You find the does, you find a high traffic area, there's going to be
Yes.
bucks during the rut period, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things I like to do is I like to utilize as much natural cover as possible. I use pop-up blinds. The first one I ever used years ago was a double bull.
Yep.
Now you take a pop-up blind and put it in the edge of a field for a whitetail, they're going to look at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You put a pop-up blind, a turkey will strut 3 feet in front of it.
Right.
It's unbelievable. It's like a weakness to them.
I've
But the
seen it.
key is being camouflaged. So something we developed a few years back is what I call hunting like a ninja. There's
Yep.
a story for this for Texas Fishing Game like in '05.
I know. I've written about it too. I've written about it because I've read your stories on
Yeah,
hunting
so
like a
in the
ninja.
inside the blind's black, right? So I wear all black. I wear a black mask and I paint around my eyes and everything black,
Uh-huh.
black gloves. And essentially, with your bows or your bow or shotgun's only going to be up there just a second, right?
Right.
It renders you pretty much invisible to the turkey when you're in there. And the whole thing, in my opinion, is number two, you got to be quiet because turkey can hear pretty dang good too. But you just got to remain invisible to the bird. And it's all me about finding those transition zones. I found that gobblers, when they're like the ones I just encountered in Kerr County, when they're really hung up, man, they're gonna act kind of stupid. And that's your one moment to get shot. But if they're on the fringe, they're just now coming into being ready to go, or they're suspicious or something like that. I like to find that I got a spot right in that open area where the hens are going to be feeding. But I like to hang close to a really, I'm not going to say a super thicket, like a thorny thicket, but a spot where there's brush.
Right.
A spot where there's enough brush that bird can slip into real easy. And he'll feel safe. Because I've seen gobblers come in and out. They'll just boom, boom, boom. Something ain't right. And then they'll finally finally come in, So it's about those strategic locations. If you're hunting a Rio Grande's pretty much roost the same spot every night or in the same general area. Eastern birds you gotta kind of like call putting them to bed. You
Yeah.
literally have to go find where they're roosting the night before, and then set your calls, decoys, and hunts up in an area you think is going to be productive, where they can hear the calls, etc., or where they've been somewhere in the vicinity of that roost. Not too close, but close to the roost, because they may pack up and be a mile away the next day.
Yes.
So it's different. It's only two birds, only two subspecies I've hunted, but those are the differences in those birds, and it's about, to me, locating whatever food source they're on. Like right now, the people in Louisiana who have these easterns, there's still some acorns in this one particular area, and they're coming out into the edge of this nature trail, and it's on a person's property, and they were getting these pictures every day and sending them to me. And I said, "Are you feeding or something?" Go, no, they're just acorns that are still in this one spot that aren't rotten, and so it's locating those feed opportunities. Those areas where the birds can strut. They like to be out in that open and strut where they can be seen. And I like finding that little tight corner somewhere where there's a little bit of cover those birds can go in and out of, and just sitting and waiting. But it's locating populations of birds.
Right.
Turkey, you think about wild turkey in Texas. It's a bird. You think about how many doves there are in Texas. Just like there's millions of doves, right?
Right.
It's really stunning. There's 500,000 turkeys. You got to figure that is scattered from about, let's just take Austin on all the way out to El Paso.
Yes.
500,000 ain't that many.
Right. It's spread out across Texas. Yeah. Right.
All of it. Because you got to figure the same amount of habitat for whitetail has 4 times the whitetail.
Yep.
That's not including the East Texas whitetail.
That's
so
a good point. Yeah.
They're a little more scattered, and not every area that looks like it's going to have turkeys is going to have. That's one thing I found in this project. I should be able to, on my Turkey Revolution quest, get Rio Grande turkeys just outside of Houston, west of Houston. Mm-hmm. And there are probably a few birds in some of those creek bottoms, but there's nothing really to speak of. I had to travel an additional 4 hours west to find concentration of birds enough to make my quest successful. So that tells us there are still some real conservation challenges left for turkeys. And really, Dustin, and I've been studying this a while, and this year it just really hit me. Actually, this is a funny story. It hit me around Christmas, eating turkey for Christmas dinner. Thinking about turkeys.
Yeah.
And going, there's just something different about their story. And I did even and I tell you, Dustin, it's probably the most revealing wildlife conservation story I've heard in North America.
Okay.
Now, if you look at turkeys have always been revered. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers, famously wrote that he didn't think the eagle was a great symbol of America because it was a damn scavenger.
Yep, I've heard
that.
But
the turkey was so wary and so regal and such an opponent that it would make
Stoic.
Better
Yeah.
representative. And while I think I like turkeys a lot, I have to disagree, because I don't think the gobbling turkeys are going to scare America's enemies. You know what I mean? Which is a screaming eagle.
The eagle, however, yeah, that's a different story.
It doesn't quite work, but that shows you that in early colonized America, the Native Americans were already in tap with this. Of course, they were way ahead of everybody, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it was even these aristocratic Europeans looked at the turkey as a symbol. But what happened is, you and I both know the sad legacy of unregulated hunting.
Right.
Hunting wasn't in the 1800s a trophy deal, although there was some trophy hunters. It was an eating and a market hunt.
Right.
And then we brutalized the forest of the South and took out a lot of the great forest. And then we started doing things like controlling fire.
Right.
And fire is vital to turkeys, because turkeys don't do good in forest that's too thick.
Right.
They like to have some thick spots, but they have to have some open forest, like savanna type forest, to thrive. Right. Because predators will kill them. They don't hang good. So when you get the combination of bad habitat, the invasion of feral hogs, which eat ground nesting birds and eggs, destroy habitat, you get unregulated hunting. Then you get to a point in this, and there's really some debate on the exact number of turkeys that were, let's say, in around the 1950s or so. But there's any estimate between 100 and 300,000 turkeys in the entire United States.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, think about that. That's at 100,000. That's a fifth of what Texas has.
Right. Exactly.
And I was actually talking to Toxie Hayes, who is the founder of Mossy Oak,
Mm-hmm.
and his grandfather was on a turkey hunting club, an original turkey hunting club, in one of the last strongholds of turkeys. That's where he grew up.
Right.
That's where his passion for supporting the National Wild Turkey Federation came from.
Sure.
It's an amazing story. So what happened is that people started really concentrating on turkey and figuring out this is a great game, but we can't let it go. So enter the National Wild Turkey Federation. I love this. They were founded in 1973, and so was Chester Moore.
There you go. You were
I was
founded
born
that
in
year too.
1973.
Yeah.
And they have done such a magnificent job of helping facilitate what states and different agencies are doing to help wild turkeys and putting birds that were abundant in one area and transplanting them to other spots. Now we're at well over about the 4 to 5 million turkeys in America mark,
Right.
which is a vastly huge improvement. And it's a fascinating story. There's been millions of dollars spent on it, but it is a wonderful comeback where most of their historic range, turkeys are doing wonderful. And they're advocating. National Wild Turkey Federation in Texas alone has numerous biologists in the field trying to figure out the best habitat. They're supporting bringing birds back. There's an initiative to bring the eastern turkey back into the piney woods. You know, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that 3/4 of the Grand Slam lives in Texas. The
Oh
Rio Grande,
wow.
of course. The Rio Grande, of course, which is by far the most common.
Yes.
We're back at about 7,000 Easterns,
Uh-huh.
and I believe we're going to be 3 times that within a decade
Oh,
in East
cool.
Texas. Yeah, I've got high hopes for the new project
Sure.
because of what Parks and Wildlife is doing. National Wild Turkey Federation, I really believe we're going to see that bird come back at a new level. But in Western Texas, in my opinion, the most beautiful turkey, the Merriams, with their beautiful white tip feathers.
Right.
There's actually a isolated population of Merriam's turkeys in the Trans-Pecos.
Huh.
And so not only is my plan to get the Grand Slam, my plan I probably won't be able to get it this year, but my plan is to get the Texas Slam.
Yeah. The 3. Yeah.
At some point, and I'm going to get an Eastern in Texas this year. I believe that. But the Merriams, I've been told there's about 500 pure Merriams left in Texas. And we're digging into that for a story that's going to be coming up soon. But there's an area where there's Merriams and Rio Grande hybrids.
Right.
Yeah, and I've also heard at Gus Engling Wildlife Management Area there are Eastern and Rio Grande hybrids.
I've never heard of a hybrid turkey. That's really cool, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
there are
just
actually
always
hybrids. There are actually
wow.
hybrids that are happening out there, and some people call them super turkeys. You know,
Yeah.
but it's an amazing thing. So, what a great testament to the North American model of hunter-based conservation. That
Yes.
people who hunted turkeys said we got to have these great birds, and they're stocking the turkeys. The Gould's turkey, for example, you know that's like the Royals. You get the grandson of the Gould. The Gould's an elusive mountain-based turkey. It's mainly in Mexico, but also was previously fairly common in parts of Arizona and New
Yep. I
Mexico.
was just gonna bring that
And
up. Yep.
yeah, and Goulds have been reestablished in Arizona and New Mexico where there's seasons on them now. And
Mm-hmm.
there's even I've had 3 different people tell me they saw Goulds in Texas in the mountains. Uh, I don't know if that's actually Merriam's they're seeing because
Right.
they're very similar, but that's part of this 5-year turkey revolution quest of mine is to let people know what's there. And I get chills right now thinking about the great work that hunters and people who care about this is the best hunter-based conservation story that I know of. And it's so exciting to see this happen. And for the guy out there hunting, the reason I'm saying all this is because you're part of that. When you buy that license, that upland bird permit in Texas, part of that money is going back to Eastern Turkey restoration. And when you join the National Wild Turkey Federation or support like our friends in the Montgomery County chapter, join one of the chapters of the Texas National Wild Turkey Federation, you're helping putting birds on the ground and fix habitat. And here's my whole reason really for doing this. I believe if we get habitat right for turkey, because see,
Yes.
white-tailed deer, you're the king of urban bow hunting.
I am. Yeah, I guess
You have an
so.
urban bull mastiff. You and I both know that you might see a turkey or two in urban areas, but whitetail could hang in urban areas.
Yes.
Turkeys can't thrive like that. They can't thrive without being at least very close to wild ground.
Yes.
And what's happened is with controlling fire, with planting different stuff, we screwed it up. But if we can get the habitat right for turkey and bring back what we had when the First Nations were here, then I believe we will make America's forests healthier. To be healthier for endangered species, for white-tailed deer, and everything. So
Yes.
it's a quest born out of passion for conservation, and what an exciting opportunity for hunters out there to take part in this.
Well, it's kind of like a broad spectrum too, Chester, because if we do, good for the turkey, as you're saying, we do well for the other wildlife. And something that's a testament to you as a wildlife journalist is you actually went to the National Turkey Federation show this year
Yes, sir.
and got to talk to all kinds of different companies that we've never heard of and all kinds of different, conservation people. And the passion that people have for this resource is just amazing across the United States, but especially, chapters here in Texas of NWTF, and just, just to see that passion for this bird is just such a testament to conservation and just taking care of our resource.
Absolutely, man. And that's why in the next 5 years, in terms of game animals, I have different conservation things that I work on, but in terms of game animals, my number one pursuit is going to be the wild turkey
Cool.
because of what it means for all wildlife in
Yes.
America.
I
One,
never
to
looked at it like that before, Chester, because I never looked at it like being something that's good for everything if you get the turkey thing right,
well,
and I mean in the simple terms.
what it hit me. I was already well down this path, but I went to the National Wild Turkey Federation convention, met an awesome NWTF biologist in Texas, Annie Farrell, and Annie was talking to me about how fire. I knew fire was a factor, and we were talking about the Angelina National Forest,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh my God, there's controlled fires. They're everywhere. That makes sense why there's turkey. That's the area closest to me that's known to have easterns.
Uh-huh.
And I went a couple of days later, getting back and sat there looking for turkeys. I didn't see turkeys, but I saw signs everywhere that said National Wild Turkey Federation, Texas Parks and Wildlife, no hunting in this part of the national forest. It's an area that the feds and the state have designated no hunting, but it's a stronghold of stalking. It's like an area they can move out from there, right?
Right.
And I'm looking at this beautiful habitat that looks drastically different what's 5 miles down the road because it's been managed. And then I saw the other abundant wildlife there, and I'm going, man, if we get turkeys right, we can get a lot of this stuff right. It's about fixing the habitat,
Right.
and it's incredible. You mentioned not knowing about the hybrids, which is to me was fascinating to discover myself.
Yes.
What about the white turkeys that we ran in the Turkey National newsletter? By the
Yes.
way, if you don't subscribe to Texas Fish and Game's e-newsletter, you're missing out. You need to
And
go
I
to fishgame.com, sign up for the e-newsletter. You'll get the turkey. Next Turkey National comes out Friday. Well, the one you'll probably get by the time you hear this show will be out on, I believe, the second Friday in April, third
okay.
Friday in April, and it's good stuff. But we have a story on the white turkeys. And we had a reader of Texas Fish and Game send a picture of a white Rio Grande with another Rio Grande turkey in Johnston City.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the NWTF convention, and there's a mounted Osceola in a smoke phase,
Yes.
which is incredible. It's incredible to see any of these morphs. Like if you see something like that, that really catches your attention, right? And Flambeau have out that Smoky Baby, which is
Uh-huh.
their decoy, because what I've learned in nature is anything in a species is different is absolutely beat down or attacked by other species. I saw one time on a ranch a bison get shot, and the other bison attacked it when it was shot.
Oh wow.
I have a friend of mine's ranch, and there's some free ranging turkeys that don't know if they're domestic, wild, or in between, right? They're just roaming around and they've never been hunted, right? They've never been shot at. They don't know anything, right? And there's one with a crippled leg that I've seen on there multiple times getting beat up by the other turkeys. An
Wow.
anomaly. So the idea when Flambeau had is putting this thing out there to grab the attention of the others. But I've seen different things in nature immediately get hammered. So to me, that went, oh, that's playing on that response of like, in the natural order, this doesn't work. We're going to eliminate. There's a thing to eliminate that, right?
Right.
So that was fascinating to me, and kudos to Flambeau for such an amazing decoy. But smoke phase, Osceola turkey, which was, there'd probably somebody pay $100,000 to go hunt that thing.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's a specialty bird. Yeah, for sure.
and then I had a Feathered Frenzy Farms in Lufkin has pure strain of Eastern turkeys. People raise those. And they've had them for years. And they read my article in the e-newsletter before we had the Turkey National, just one about odd turkeys, right?
Yeah.
And they said, you got to come see our birds. They've been raising these for years in the same clutch of eggs. And I've seen where these birds are nothing can get in and breed them.
Right.
They had red face, and they had several smoke face born. I got to photograph those.
Wow.
And it was incredible. And I was so excited to see that. And so I did some digging. And what biologists are saying now is that look at turkeys haven't been domesticated that long.
Right.
They're talking about these European domesticated turkeys. Yeah, when the settlers came and got turkeys from America and brought them to Europe.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So anything you see color-wise in a domestic breed, whether it's our famous bourbon red, whether it's a royal palm, which is white and black, can be possibly in the genetics of the wild turkey.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's a really, really cool thing. And I've had so many people excited about it and stuff like that. And that's why I'm so honored and privileged to be editor-in-chief of Texas Fish and Game. So when Chester Moore has a crazy idea to sport turkeys, they're throwing the newsletter out. And but it's a good thing. And there's so much of a story to be told because now I'm trying to get my Grand Slam.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and to your testament of the newsletter, I mean, I love reading the turkey newsletter stuff that you've got going on here in the Whitetail National, all the specialty newsletters, because, I mean, there's really and I talk about the newsletter every single show, Chester. I want you to know that because I love the work you're doing over there. And I talk about you doing that work just about every show as well. But it's stuff you don't see everywhere. It's stuff that's unique content that you're not going to run across in just any other publication,
No,
I mean,
yeah. And can I give a teaser for something?
Sure. I'm ready.
When we bring the Whitetail National back in September, I've got something on whitetail that's going to blow people's minds.
I love it.
And it's kind of related to what we're talking about with turkey and different turkeys and stuff. It's so cool. And that's going to come up in April. And it involves kinds of whitetails you've never heard of.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So fun stuff, man. But, the Grand Slam, the Osceola, only in basically considered pure Osceola below Tallahassee in Florida.
Yes.
Anything up there is either a hybrid or in the northern Florida or just a pure Eastern. The Merriams, I mean, well, God, what a beautiful bird. And we have a few of those in West Texas that goes up from Nebraska, because Nebraska has Easterns, same thing we had. Nebraska has Rio Grande, Eastern, and Osceola. In the Osceola, I'm sorry, Merriams. And you got all the Western states. But there's been Rio Grande years ago stocked in a lot of Western states. Mm-hmm. There are Rio Grandes in Hawaii.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. That's cool.
So there are wild turkeys now in Hawaii.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, just crazy stuff, man. And just, what a great challenge. My goal is to get the Grand Slam. And my goal, the first go around, is I'm going to get it with shotgun. Mm-hmm. And then my second round is going to be with the bow only.
Oh, cool. That's good.
And that's kind of my goal. I've already got my Rio. Hopefully I'll get an Eastern this year. And then next year we're going to work on a Merriams and an Osceola. And maybe I'll get my Eastern and my Rio next year with the bow and kind of have both going. You know what I mean? But I gotta give a buddy of mine a plug. My buddy Matt Otten, Otten Brothers Taxidermy, is working on some turkey stuff for me, and he's just doing some killer stuff out there in Bernie with birds and stuff like that. And me and him are kind of collaborating on some crazy turkey projects to raise awareness to conservation and taxidermy too. So that'd be kind of cool,
No, that's great. And another turkey story for you real quick. When I was hunting at place that I hunt at deer at in Mason last year, I was hunting with a gentleman that owns that property out there, and he is just a master turkey hunter. And so we hunted all weekend, 2 different properties in Mason and Brady. and I could hear them off in the distance, but they would never come into a call. I would actually do a run and gun, and we did a blind setup at a tank where they'd come over, the tank and everything, and see the decoys and stuff. Had decoys and everything else out. The moment I left, I'm rolling out of the house and everything. I get a text message from him. He sends me a picture of a gobbler that's walking within 10 yards of the back porch of the house with his beard dragging on the ground.
Dude.
And, I was just like, I hunted all weekend, and here this turkey just comes strutting along, like nobody's business, and I'm just like, God bless it. Why not me?
That's the way it happens.
That's the way it goes.
Story. They were like giving you the feather or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's right.
They were like, no, give me the beard. They were like,
that's right. Give me the beard.
No. I'm going to strut while you're not here because you don't have a shotgun.
Everybody's like, why didn't your the landowner shoot it? I was just like, you're missing the point of the story, man. I hunted all weekend for the turkey, and here he comes. I mean, so it just drove me crazy. But you gotta love it, So that's just the part of hunting, That's just why they call it hunting and not killing, I guess, and not shooting. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience, and it's something really, really unique. And we have a lot that we can do better for turkeys in Texas. I think there's a lot of people that could be hunting turkeys right now. They're not taking advantage of their deer leases in the spring season. They could add a lot of joy to their lives and challenge to their hunts and do something totally unique. And if you're a bow hunter, I challenge you right now to go out and shoot a turkey with your bow. It is an incredible challenge. I've taken one with the bow years ago. And it's an incredible challenge. Lou Murillo, editor-in-chief, Texas Fish and Game, that's his thing. He is a master of it. And if you want some information on what to do, you can reach out to Lou. And but I'm telling you right now, man, a lot of great stuff with turkey. A majestic bird that symbolizes America, that symbolizes the wilds and woods of America. You see deer a lot, but when you see that big old red head out in the distance, and you see those feathers fan out, you're old and wary. Yeah. And it's any animal sighting is an exciting moment, but those turkey sightings, to me, just seem a little bit wilder than some of the other things we pursue. And I think that's what's got me so motivated about them. And I know that's what got so many people who are so much more experienced the actual hunting of turkey than me. But I tell you what, it is a bird that I have come to have greatly respect. And I'll kind of wrap up my little part of this with this. When I was a kid, I've talked many times about my scrapbook. And me and my dad would sit in his lap, and we'd cut up old sports field and streams and outdoor life. Right. And I would make scrapbook stuff I want to go hunt or just want to go photograph or whatever. And I have 2 of these scrapbooks left. I lost my fishing one, unfortunately. That makes me want to cry. I had one with all kind of crazy fishing pictures, But I had this hunting one, and it had a wild turkey in it. And I thought wild turkey were cool, man. I'm like, they have wild turkeys? Yep. And I hunted in East Texas, and I knew from reading my books they were supposed to be here, but I never saw one. Well, I go out to Llano for the first time. And my uncle had killed a turkey on the same day, at least a year before, and I thought that was like someone shooting a white whale. I was like, oh my God. I was like, my God, it's Moby Dick. And I saw turkeys for the first time. And I went, wow, there actually are wild turkeys. Right. Right? They're really wild birds. How cool is that? I never shot at one until years later. I was only 12 at the time, but I saw them. And I come back to East Texas, and I looked at my own forest and go, why aren't they here? And then at that time, Parks and Wildlife was doing their initial stocking of eastern birds. And it gave me hope that one day we would have those birds here. Mm-hmm. And there were some problems with turkeys since then, and I think they're fixing some of that. They're learning more. But I think that if we can all get back to that feeling the 12-year-old me had when he saw that turkey for the first time, I think we'll be better sportsmen, appreciate our resources, and appreciate the sacred time we spend in God's outdoors.
Absolutely. I mean, what better way to wrap this up? I mean, it's about conserving that resource, but also that feeling. That's why we all hunt, That's it. It's just kind of like, it kind of like fishing and getting a hold of a shark or something like that on the line. But I mean, as far as the the rush that you get, the adrenaline kick that you get in from having a big turkey walk in on your setup, it's just, there's not another sport that I know of in the United States or beyond that rivals that amount of fun. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it, but that's,
it's good stuff. Pigs are a close second for me,
yes.
but far as just a unique experience, it's really hard to make happen. I think turkeys take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So anything else to, how can people get a hold of you, Chester? I haven't given you an opportunity to do that yet, and then we'll close this bad boy out.
Easiest way is to go to chestermore.com. You'll kind of see all the stuff we got going on. You can contact me there and ask questions, and whether it's for Texas Fish Game or radio stuff, whatever you want to do. And if you have anything, any crazy turkey photos of multiple beards or huge beards or long spurs or white turkeys or smoked turkeys or hybrid possibly, or questions, email me, chester@chestermore.com, chester@chestermore.com. And thank you, Dustin, for the privilege of being on your podcast.
I love it. Always a pleasure to have you, Chester. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir.
And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chester Moore, Kingdom Zoo Wildlife Center, and editor-in-chief, Texas Fishing Game. Just an incredible guy. I just love having this guy on the show, and every time we get together, it's kind of like reunited, and it feels so good. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, we really enjoy each other's company and seeing each other at the shows, and just talking to each other on the phone, a few times a week. Chester and I really have a great relationship as far as editor and an associate publisher in my case go, but just really a good work relationship and a good friendship as well. So I really have a lot of good things to say about him. Love the heart on that guy. He really has a heart for conservation, and I love the passions that he has in life. It's not just about catching and killing for him. It's about wildlife preservation and the youth and the next generation that's inheriting all this stuff. And man, that is right up my wheelhouse. Kind of like the deal we did on the last podcast where we talked about coastal brigades and Texas brigades and the different wildlife things that they do, conservation they do with teenagers from 13 to 17 years old. And man, that stuff just makes my socks go up and down. I love it. All right, so thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please, if you've not done so already, subscribe to our newsletters. They are free, and you get a new one every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You have Tactical and Practical Tuesday, you have Wildlife Wednesday, and you have Thursday, the Texas State of the Outdoor Nation. Plus, you have bonus newsletters like the Whitetail National and the Turkey National, I believe is what the turkey one's called. I may be wrong, but Chester's whole deal is Turkey Revolution, and that's what I've named this podcast today, is Turkey Revolution, because it is really a revolution in a lot of different ways of what he's trying to do with the whole conservation element. Because again, like he was saying, if you fix turkeys, you fixed a lot of things. If you fix the habitat issue for turkeys, if you fix wildlife preservation, as far as wildlife resource preservation with turkeys, you fixed a lot of things. And man, that just, like I said earlier in the show, this is just one of my favorite podcasts with him, because we really hit it off well. And I hope you enjoy this. So thank you so much. Please tell a friend. Please share this podcast on social media if you haven't done so already. It's, again, free for you to do that. And we'd love to have as many listeners as we can get. I'm just happy to have you guys chiming in and telling a friend. Please also, if you've not done so, go to wherever you have found this podcast, especially if you're on iTunes, if you're on Stitcher, if you're on Spotify, if you're on iHeartRadio, any of those, you can rate the podcast in a lot of these platforms. And if you give us a 5-star rating, more people can find the show about the best of the outdoors and Texas Fishing Game, and learn more about this stuff like you are. And I hope you're learning a lot, because I'm here to teach you as much as I know and as much as the guests that I bring to the show know. And I'm fascinated about the outdoor stuff, guys. I know some of you guys are too, which is why you listen. And I appreciate that so much. Each and every one of you guys that tune into this podcast, y'all mean the world to me, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do. So thank you guys so much for watching, reading, and listening. Have an awesome day in the outdoors. We'll see you next time.